Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. Twas on a night of returns. I also returned a week later, although I didn't miss anything, but still, it was basically, you could say, a night of returns on AEW, the March 31st, 2021 edition. We had Christian Cage return to in ring action in over 7 years. We had Chris Statlander return in the main event in Arcade Anarchy, which was a main event that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but pretty decent. We had Trent return, same match. We also had the Inner Circle come back and get a measure of revenge on the Pinnacle. Touch on that in a bit, but like I said, thank you for joining me. Like and subscribe, click on that bell. Thank you all. Join me, and let's get into the review, shall we? So, the show started off in a good way. Christian Cage versus Frankie Kazarian. This is Christian Cage's first match and ring match in over 7 years. Of course, he didn't do anything in that unsanctioned match against Randy Orton last year. It was basically just a segment. He took a low blow and then a punt kick. So, just that. But Christian, he looked good. He's in good shape, like similarly to the Royal Rumble. But of course, now he's in AEW against Frankie Kazarian, who they've had a rivalry with in TNA, back in TNA in 2007. It's a good match. Really, it was like a filling out process because Christian, he hasn't had a one-on-one match in a very small amount of time. But good match nonetheless. Kazarian, he took it to Christian many times in the match, but Christian would fight back. Got a tornado DT for a near fall. European uppercut, some of his usual offense. Then Kazarian hit a top rope Spanish fly for or exploder, I think, but for a near fall. Then Kazarian went for a leg drop over the middle rope with Christian, but Christian got out of the way. Hung Frankie off the top rope and hit a beautiful frog splash for a 2 count. And then Kazarian was overzealous. Shoulder went to the ring post. Christian then hit the kill switch and won decisively in his return match, his debut on AEW. Saw a match. Christian, I mean, you knew he was going to be a little rusty, but it looked good in spots, and now seeing Christian get back into a rhythm, he perhaps looks better than he did tonight, but hell of a way to debut in AEW. So in what was a good, interesting start of the show, we had then the Cody versus QT Marshall, or Cody Rhodes versus QT Marshall exhibition. This, I mean, the what happened after match was really what was to make of this segment. They didn't really do much. Like Cody said, if he locked on the figure four, he wouldn't really commit to it. Same with the crossroads. Then eventually Marshall got frustrated and then decked Arn Anderson, who was the referee. And then the Nightmare Family members of Nightmare Family were at ringside. Came in to check on Arn, and then Anthony Ogogo, Nick Camarado, and Aaron Solo all attacked the Nightmare Family. Aaron Solo attacked with a chair. All members of the Nightmare Family. And then Camarado, he yanked the steel steps that were at ringside, placed them on the ramp, and QT Marshall, he hit Dustin Rhodes with a pile driver on the steel steps, and then they got Cody and dragged him to the top of the steel steps, and QT Marshall looked like he was going to hit a concerto on Cody, but then Red Velvet came out to try to reason with Marshall, and he let go of the chair, stopped, and they just backed away. And I'm not sure what to make of this, because we have, it looks like, another stable / maybe faction is formed in AEW, and I mean, I'm just not sure, because we have the Pinnacle, the Inner Circle, we have the Hardy Family Office, we have the Nightmare Family, and now we have QT Marshall. Plus, people are getting tired of Cody. People are just annoyed of seeing him, and I mean, same with me. They're getting a little restless with Cody. I mean, it just doesn't feel the same excitement with Cody. I mean, that was to start AEW. I mean, it's like he has to go big show. He had now a reality show. He has the remix theme with Snoop Dogg. It just doesn't feel like the same Cody Rhodes. And, I mean, he's winning, but he has that stipulation of he can't wrestle for the world title again since he lost to Jericho. So, I mean, it's weird, but I think mostly they're just tired of face Cody Rhodes and a heel turn or taking some time off is very much needed, I would say, for Cody Rhodes. And, I mean, it's strange, really, because I bet if there were fans there, QT Marshall and Sable would probably getting cheered for being down Cody Rhodes. That's how I feel. But I just don't know what to make of this. Now, Camarado, Solo, and Ogogo all look to have talent. I mean, Camarado, he's been featured a little on Dark. So, I mean, this is more of a mentor role, I guess, for QT Marshall, but I just don't know what to make of this. So then we had Jon Moxley for Cesar Benonin. A squash match as you expect. Not really much. Benonin, he has superplex for 2 counts. Then was countered to a cross arm breaker, but Benonin got out of it. And then Benonin went for a pump handle slam, but was countered into a rear naked choke. Benonin went out, and thus Jon Moxley gets a win. Moxley's still being built strong, despite the match, or despite Kingston getting injured. And next week, apparently we got Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers versus Jon Moxley and the Young Bucks. You could be seeing a swerve here, where ultimately Jon Moxley is forced to defy the odds again. We'll see. Skipping ahead, sorry. Excuse me. So then we had probably the best segment of the night. We had MJF. He reportedly had a gift to give to the Pinnacle. And so he was in their locker room and he was talking to the Pinnacle and reportedly told them that he had a designer for them. And he also had put into place getting an interior designer for their locker room. So then he said finally they can get rid or do a makeover of their bathroom. So MJF then opens the door, restroom door, and it's Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, Santana Ortiz looking dead-eyed at MJF, and then MJF closes the door and then tells the guys of the Pinnacle that they need to go, they need to run. And then, so MJF then opens the door for their locker room, and there lies Jake Hager, who decks MJF with the right hand, and the Inner Circle appear from the restroom, and a big brawl ensues with the Pinnacle and the Inner Circle. So, right off the bat, so I'm not sure what weapon Jericho had, but he busted up a weapon over the head of Dax Harwood. He was showered in blood, like a big cut. I'm not sure if it was like a stick or something, but something got through and a big cut lacerated the head of Dax Harwood. So then we cut to the back, and it's Sammy Guevara brawling with Shawn Spears in the hallway, and Guevara hits the GTH on Shawn Spears, takes him out, slams the door on his head, and then we cut to Wardlow and Jake Hager, who are fighting by the R&R, and Hager hits a Uranagi on Wardlow through a massage table. Then we cut to the back. It's Santana Ortiz rolling with FTR, and Ortiz knocks Cash Wheeler into an ice bath, and then Santana looks to swing a chair at Dax Harwood's head, and then whacks Dax Harwood over the head with one of the legs of a chair. So that takes them out, and then we cut to the locker room, and Jericho and MJF are wrong, and they get to the bathroom, and Jericho shoves MJF's head into the toilet, giving him a pre-ed swirly, and then they cut to the locker room, and there's a cooler like a Pepsi cooler, and Jericho, like before he threw Shawn Michaels' face into the Jeritron 5000, he tells MJF, the worst is yet to come, and throws him into the glass cooler area. Takes a sip of the bubbly, drips it on MJF, says this is our locker room, bitch. And then Santana Ortiz throw MJF out of the locker room. They take the plate or the name card, the logo card of the Pinnacle off the locker room, and they place the inner circle card back on. They shut the door. That's how the thing ends. Great brawl between the inner circle and the Pinnacle. Now, it was 3 weeks ago that when MJF and the Pinnacle took out the inner circle, I thought maybe it would take another week at least for the inner circle to come back, like maybe a month, because it was only 3 weeks, but I'm just a little hesitant because I'm not sure that the Pinnacle could have done a little more, and then their circle came back, but it was so unexpected, I guess, on this night of returns that they figured, okay, we'll add the inner circle to that list. All in all, this was a great brawl. Have you see the inner circle back? I mean, just the matches you can imagine, and you could kind of see it with the little exchanges. The matches were awaiting in the future. You know, Shawn Spears, Sammy Guevara, Santana Ortiz versus FTR. That's a doozy. Chris Jericho and MJF, the rematch. And of course, Hager and Wardlow. Those are interesting matches to look forward to. And I think we get a big match between the two factions at Double or Nothing. So then we follow up the Great Brawl with a solid 6-man tag between the Laredo Kid and the Lucha Brothers versus Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers. So it was a fast start by Pentagon and Phoenix. This was chaotic to start. Super kicks on Omega for a near fall. And then getting into the match after the filling out process kind of started. There was a moonsault, foot stomp, senton combination by Phoenix for near fall and his partners, and then some tag team continuity by the Good Brothers and Kenny, a triple back neck breaker for near fall. Then Carl Anderson with his version of the Claymore, a big bicycle kick for near fall. Then Kenny Omega, he caught Phoenix in midair, a powerbomb V-trigger combination for a near fall. Then a Michinoku driver after the tightrope punt by Phoenix. Michinoku driver by Laredo Kid for 2 count. A back and forth at the end, but finally Omega hit the one-winged angel, which Owen kicks out of for the win. And solid tag team match. Afterwards, we saw Jon Moxley and the Young Bucks come out to confront Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers and signifying the 6-man tag we got next week. We could very well see the swerve and the band officially getting back together. We'll see, but interesting. And what was the lowest point of the night? We had Nyla Rose and the Bunny, aka Ali, versus Tai Conti and Hikaru Shida. This was a mess. A mess. I didn't pay attention to it really. I mean, it felt like a glorified handicap match or lumberjack match. There were so many people at ringside. I mean, there was, or on the outside, we had the Dark Order come out with Shida and Conti. Then we had the Hardy Family Office come out with Nyla Rose and the Bunny and Tai Conti. And Vicky Guerrero. Which, still looking at it, Butcher and the Blade and the Bunny just look out of sorts with Matt Hardy and Private Party. It's strange, but yeah. So the Bunny and Nyla Rose win after the Bunny hit the final cut. Looked to be on Conti for the win. So I'm curious because Conti is your number one contender, and if you're going to build between a potential building up your number one contender, that's just a weird way to go. Especially a week after she got her biggest win over Nyla Rose, and it's just odd. So finally, we get to the main event, Arcade Anarchy, between Miro, Kip Sabian versus Chuck Taylor and Orange Cassidy. So, this was, I thought it was going to be cheesy and, almost boring, but wound up being a decent match. So, there were a bunch of arcade machines being set up at ringside, Mortal Kombat, air hockey table, the claw, etc. being set up. but this is fine for what it was. So there was a whack-a-mole set up in the audience, which Orange Cassidy attacked Kip Sabian with, and then Chuck Taylor came in. He dive on Miro off a Mortal Kombat arcade machine, and then there were a thing of trash can lids set up um, on the outside, and Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor used that to try to take out Miro, and then they used candlestick shots, and then getting back in the ring, they tried the barricade, etc., trying to take out Miro, the biggest guy in the match. Kip saying he had some quality offense in, he had some flurries, but so. And then in the ring, so because it's arcade anarchy, there was a teddy bear full of Legos, which not tags. Legos, they still hurt, but so. So then Kip Sabian, he hit a powerbomb on Chuck Taylor through on these Legos for a near fall. And then Cassidy hit a beach break on Sabian for a 2. And then they were fighting on the outside. And there was a claw game set up. And then out of nowhere, Penelope Ford, she was getting involved. And then coming out of this pit, or the claw game, Chris Statlander shows up and attacks Penelope Ford. And then she attacks Penelope Ford. They're fighting on the apron, and then Chris Statlander, she looks great in their return. Obviously, she has a knee brace because her ACL, but she hit a Michinoku driver, kind of Ushigoroshi on Penelope Ford through this ice hockey table or air hockey table. Looked kind of brutal. So then Miro and Taylor were set up. Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor, they were crawling away from the arena, and then all of a sudden we see a van come in, and of course it was the van, Trent's mom's van, aka Sue. She shows up, and then out of the van comes Trent. He's back. He attacks Miro. Miro gets the advantage. He waves towards Sue and then comes to the van, but Trent hits Miro from behind, saving his mom, and then Miro, he got a chair thrown into him in the face by Chuck, and then Trent speared him through a table that was wedged. And then Chuck, so Sabian was on the stage in disbelief. And then Chuck Taylor, he lands a beautiful running power slam on Kip Sabian through a table off the stage for the win. Afterwards, best friends embrace in the middle of the ring, and Orange Cassidy and Chris Statlander. It was a nice way, and they gave the thumbs up to Sue, and yeah, it was a decent feel-good way to end a decent episode of Dynamite. Yeah, was solid, I guess. But yeah, some interesting dynamics, and see where they go next week. I mean, we still got a month to go till Double or Nothing, but very interesting to see where they go. Anyway, that's the review, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Excuse me. I know I did. Like I said, like and subscribe. Thank you all. See you next week. Guys, sports overview topics, AEW review, and NXT TakeOver review. So, thank you all. Peace. Stay safe.